So I think we will get going because we've got a lot to do today with Colin. We'll have a nice yoga class, or kriya. We'll talk about that in a second. But we'll formally welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us for another Wellbeing at Home session. It's so, as I say every week, it's so lovely to see your familiar faces and names, and giving you all a big virtual hug. It's nice to see you. And those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome, big warm welcome. I hope you enjoy your first event with us and that you'll be back to join us for future events. We do all kinds of different wonderful things here, Wellbeing at Home, on anything to do with wellbeing. We're here, and it's all about empowering you to take control of your own health and happiness, and that's on every level, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual. It's all intertwined. We're holistic beings, so I'm very passionate about sharing all of that with whoever wants to come along and empower themselves. So before we kick off with Colin, a couple of little things, actually a big thing for me anyway. The government has made it really much more accessible now to travel, and they've removed the dreaded red list. Anyone in the travel industry started to really despise that red list, and so they've got rid of it. So there's no more nasty hotel quarantine, and the world's actually just opened up for us all. So I just wanted to announce that it's just becoming much easier to travel, and the PCR tests have been removed as well, especially if you're double vaccinated. Yeah, it's easy to travel. And if you need any advice or any help, always call us and our team. Now, a little bit of personal news. It's a bittersweet kind of day for me because Dominica, which I know many of you have dealt with, the lovely Dominica, has left to go and have a baby, and it's due within the next couple of weeks. So I'm so delighted for Dominica because she will be starting a new chapter of her life, but I'm sad to not see her lovely face every day. And we have a new member of the team called Aurélie. It's a lovely French name, lovely French girl who's been living in London for a long time. So if you're calling and you speak to Aurélie, welcome her to the team. So Amanda says I'm echoing. Is anyone else finding that? No? Okay, Amanda, sorry, it's on your side then. Okay, we're going to kick it off today with Colin, and I'm sharing my passion around Kundalini. So Kundalini for me, I've got to tell you my own personal story with Kundalini. Does anyone know about Kundalini, or has anyone tried Kundalini here? Just put it in chat if you have. Because it'll be interesting for us to know if anyone's tried it before. No, okay. So Kundalini has a little bit of a reputation of being kind of scary and out there. And oh, Sarah loves it. Okay, we've got one person who's done it and loves it. But it's got a little bit of a reputation of being a bit out there. And many, many years ago, somebody said to me, oh, I think you would like Kundalini, try it. And they gave me this kind of video CD. In those days, it was CDs, not, online downloads, of a class with Maya Fines. I don't know if anyone's heard of Maya Fines, but she's, I think she's married to Ralph Fiennes, or part of his sister-in-law, something like that. And I put on this video, and it was this woman sitting there with a turban, a white turban, and she was doing some really difficult moves and lots of chanting. And I found it quite intimidating and scary. So I let it go for a little bit, and I was trying to get into it. I gave it about 20 minutes, and I just switched it off, and I said, "This is not for me. I can't do this. This is just too much for me." So fast forward many years later, maybe 10 years later, somebody actually introduced me to come to a live class, and I tried it, and it wasn't a scary environment, and not everybody was sitting there, you know, wearing white robes and white turbans and stuff, and it was just like regular people in this class, and I really enjoyed it, and I realized afterwards I felt quite charged up and uplifted, and it was just like a different experience. And so then I started getting into it and doing lots of classes. And then during lockdown, I started to do online classes with another teacher of mine. And then it became part of my regular practice. And it really helped me kind of keep myself grounded, especially when I was feeling anxious or anything like that. It was a really great grounding experience for me. And then I met Colin, and somebody said to me, actually in my local area, I was looking for a Kundalini class, and it's quite an obscure form of yoga. You don't find it all over the place, you know. And somebody said to me, oh, there's a class around the corner with this wonderful man called Colin. And I couldn't believe Colin had been on my doorstep for so many years, and I didn't know about it. And I started to go to Colin's classes, and I felt, I just got to say so much gratitude to you, Colin, because your classes are beautiful and amazing. So I'd like to formally introduce Colin to everybody. Colin, hi.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all.
Nice to have you here, Colin. And Colin, and his normal day job, is a financial planner. So I found that quite funny, actually, because he does these beautifully uplifting kind of almost, well, for me, quite spiritual classes. And then on his day job, he's a financial planner. So it just shows you can combine all aspects of life through this. But Colin, just quickly before we start, tell us how you incorporated Kundalini into your life, how you found it, and you know, the shifts and changes that happened to you, and why you actually trained to become a teacher.
Sure. Yeah, thanks very much, Stella. I'm just so grateful to you for inviting me this evening, and I'm really excited about doing a kriya, as we call it, set of asanas for a specific purpose, which I'll talk more about later. So I grew up in Zimbabwe, Rhodesia as it then was, and I just loved my sport. Any minute of the day that I could be out there, either running or playing tennis or rugby or whatever, I was out there doing that. And ultimately, it started to have an effect on my back. When I was 13, I had a very bad rugby injury, was never able to play again, but I still carried on with various other sports. And then every now and again, maybe once every 2 or 3 years, I get real spasms in my back. Sometimes I was sort of I had to lie down for maybe 3-4 days. I couldn't do anything. And I found a wonderful, I'd come over to the UK to study at university here. And then I came to London to work. And I was introduced to a wonderful, wonderful osteopath just a few miles from where I was living. And I used to go to her whenever my back played up. And then in 2001, so 20 years ago, I was already an old man by then.
No, you're not.
I went to Josephine on one occasion where I had problems with my back. And after her usual 3 or 4 sessions with her osteopathy, she said to me, Colin, you're doing too much, running and this, that, and the other, playing squash. I'm not saying you must stop that, but you need to get to have a balance. You need, I think, something to counteract the difficulties that you're having with your back. And I've got a wonderful, wonderful friend who is an Alexander technique teacher. She works with actors and actresses, and she lives not far from you. So I went to see Katja, And I was with Katja for quite a few months. Every Saturday morning, I used to go to her. And it came to a point where Katja said to me, Colin, I don't think you need me anymore. I think things are really working for you, but go and see if you can start doing some yoga. I think yoga will be really amazing for you. Initially, I was very skeptical. I much preferred, my running and my squash and the other things I was doing. But I loved Katja. She was such a wonderful woman. And it just so happened that LA Fitness in Finchley was opening up a new gym at that time. So I joined LA Fitness, and they had about 3 or 4 yoga classes there. So I used to go along. They had a hatha class, Iyengar, Ashtanga, and then they introduced a Kundalini Yoga class. But Stella, your experience was not dissimilar from mine, because our teacher I think he was from sort of Hackney or somewhere like that. He'd actually converted to Sikhism, because Kundalini Yoga was brought to the West in 1969 by a Sikh. So although it's not religious, he had introduced these various elements into the yoga, which I'm very grateful for. And I know, Stella, you are, because that's how the music came about, through the Sikh element. So this guy used to come and teach the class. He was a good teacher, dressed all in white, like I am. But the difference is that he'd converted to Sikhism. He had taken a Sikh name, and he wore the turban. And the class was nice, but it didn't really get to me. So, I did a bit of Kundalini, I did a bit of Hatha, and 1 or 2 other things. And then I joined another place in Hampstead to do yoga. And there I met a teacher called Tabitha. And Tabitha became a real inspiration for me. Although she was a Kundalini Yoga teacher, she had traveled widely, and she brought back elements of what she'd learned in India and in Brazil and Argentina and places like that. And I loved the kind of balance she brought to the class. And then in 2007, Tabitha, who used to run retreats around the world, well, not around, in the UK and Morocco, said, Colin, I'm doing a retreat in November in Marrakesh, and you're coming with me. And I couldn't say no. And I went to Marrakesh, and because of my work, I could only go 2 days after the retreat started. And I arrived there at the Riad in Marrakesh at about 7:30 in the morning. And in Kundalini Yoga, those who want to do an early morning sadhana, you do yoga, you do some chanting and so on. And as I walked into the Riad, I just heard, before I even saw anyone, I heard this amazing music. And there were about 10 people sitting in this lovely room, singing along with this music. And it just really got to me. And I had the most wonderful 5 days. And the moment I got back to London, I asked around, when is the next Kundalini Yoga training course? Not to become a teacher. I just wanted to learn and find out more. And a friend of mine had just finished her training. So she said, Colin, there's a wonderful London group called Karam Kriya. I signed up, and in the January, I started my training. And about 2 weeks later, I started covering for Tabitha, my teacher, which I shouldn't have been doing, but the Karam Kriya people said, Colin, that's fine. We'll sign you off. Make sure you get your insurance. And the rest is history.
Wow. And then, as you say, the rest is history. So we're not going to talk about it anymore. I really, please, you share your journey, because it was similar to mine with that feeling intimidated. But there is a lovely combination, as everyone will see, with music, with breath work, with a little bit of chanting, with movement. But what I love about Colin's classes the most, and you're going to experience this now, is whenever Colin does the class, he has a theme, and it it kind of reaches you emotionally as well and psychologically. So it's just a really lovely holistic experience. And today Colin's going to be doing a kriya set with us all that I have done with him previously, and it really just did touch my heart. So I hope it has the same effect on all of you. I hope you all enjoy your first, or those of you who have done it before, this particular kriya and session with Colin. We're going to probably run over a little bit to about 6:15. So I hope that's okay for everybody. And I think we'll just get going. Yeah.
Why not? Is it possible, unless you really feel that you don't want to be seen, because I'm not actually giving a talk, and I can quite understand that you don't want to be seen, maybe talk, but because we're going to be doing yoga, unless you really, really don't feel you want to be seen, are you able to go get onto video so that I can see you as we do the class? Stella, is that something you control, or can everybody do it individually?
No, everyone can do that individually. You know, if people feel that they want to do that, we won't force everyone to do it. But if you can, it will be helpful for Colin, just to make sure you're doing things correctly. If you feel uncomfortable, you don't want to, that's fine too.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can. It's just it's for your own benefit, really, if you can. But we'll leave that to the individuals. I think more people have put their cameras on now.
Yeah, no, that's great. No obligation. So I'm just going to need to just share my music. The class that I taught a few weeks ago, which Stella really loved, and she asked me whether I would maybe do that again this afternoon, was based upon, as Stella said, we have so many different things we can teach in Kundalini Yoga. And I know that some Kundalini Yoga teachers, they just go through the manual that they had when they were training. Can you...
Can everybody mute, please? Just put yourselves on mute.
Lorraine, can you mute?
Sorry.
Yeah.
So they go through their manual and they maybe find something and they teach that kriya. I really like to try to be inspired by something. It might not be until the evening before I'm teaching. It might be a few days before. The class that I taught that I'm going to be doing today, we won't be able to do all of it, but we'll do part of it, was so I went to, I love St. James's Church in Piccadilly in London, and there's an organization called Alternatives. They have fantastic speakers, they have little concerts there, and for the first time since lockdown, they started up again with somebody I really rate so highly. His name's David Hamilton. And David Hamilton was a scientist who worked for a pharmaceutical company. And when a lot of his colleagues were sort of poo-pooing things like placebo and ways in which people could find harmony and relief through methods other than medication, David found things very difficult, and eventually he left the pharmaceutical world, and he wrote a book, and he started educating people as to how they could work with other modalities rather than just go to the GP and get prescribed another pill. And David's just written a book, which is, he's called it Why Woo Woo Works. And it's fantastic because things like yoga and meditation and Reiki, can really get a bad press. But I know from my own personal experience that the way in which it's helped me to deal with stress that I get, both from my work and other things, I can at times get anxious about things, which, means it takes you off your path. And I can't believe how Kundalini Yoga, with the combination of things Stella's been talking about, just enables me to come back on track. I might still have my stresses, I might still have my anxieties, but they're not nearly as substantial as they might otherwise be. Okay, so Amanda, there's no music yet. Can everybody else hear me okay? Yeah, so Amanda, it might be something with your thing. Sorry about that. So just going to read you. This is, I'm sure you've all heard of or read, seen Deepak Chopra. This is Deepak Chopra on David Hamilton's book. It says, the thing about David Hamilton is because he's a scientist, he's been able to test things that can't normally be tested. So they wire people up when they're doing meditation and so on, and they can test what it's doing for them. And Deepak Chopra says, science has historically looked askance when faced with traditional healing systems. We now realize that alternative therapies and Western methods can be used together to reach a state of lasting wellness. And that just really resonates for me. I'm not saying, traditional medicine isn't important. Of course it is. But why can't that be combined with things like meditation and mindfulness and Reiki in order to help us all in terms of our, stresses and so on. So that's really how the class came about. David's written a lot about kindness, how if we are kind to people and to ourselves, because we can be hard on ourselves, then when you just think of what that does in terms of our, the endorphins and the all those neurotransmitters and so on into the brain, it can really bring harmony and peace to us. And he's, I reckon he's one of the experts on the relationship between the body and the mind. And I think that's what yoga really ought to be all about. Some types of yoga, it's very, very much about the physical stuff you do. What I love about Kundalini Yoga is that relationship between the body and the mind, all linked together with the breath, is just phenomenal, I think. So we're going to be working today on that relationship between the body and the mind and with the breath. And then because we've got this amazing music and these mantras available to us, towards the end, we're going to do a really beautiful meditation, which is based upon the first sutra. In Kundalini Yoga, we have 5 sutras, just little statements. And the first one is recognize the other person is you. So especially, when we're getting into difficulties with somebody, can we just take a step back and actually think about, maybe they're really going through stuff. And can we recognize, them in us and us in them? And we do that sort of chanting, singing along with this lovely music. So let's make a start then. We always tune in Kundalini Yoga. We tune in with a mantra. It goes Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. And loosely translated, Namo is our bow, and we're bowing to our own wisdom, our own teacher, our own God, whatever God represents for you. It's different for all of us, whether in a religious sense or otherwise. So we chant that 3 times, Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Let's rub our palms. This is helping to balance those 2 hemispheres of the brain, stimulating some of our nerve endings. Palms in prayer pose, prayer mudra at the heart center. Nice and relaxed in the shoulders, back and down. Close your eyes. And I'd like you to take your breath into your quiet center. So just inhaling, feel that expansion into the abdomen, the lungs, belly coming forward. Then we exhale. And as the belly kind of moves back towards the spine, the muscles, the body softens. Breathing steadily in and out. In Kundalini Yoga, through the nose, the breath. Unless I instruct you otherwise, can you try to breathe in and out through the nose? So just to remind you, Om Namo. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale to begin. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. One more inhale. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Take a deep breath in, deep breath in. Hold. And exhale. And relax. So before we start our kriya for that relationship, the harmony, the synchronization between the body and the mind, quite often I just like to get us up and either sort of shaking, because shaking is really good for us. It shakes away our fears and our anxieties and our concerns. I've seen my dog. He's actually, at the moment, he's just there. He's having such a lovely time on his back. But when he gets fearful, you can see him shake. And sometimes also just to get up and dance. And usually I play Kundalini Yoga music, which I will be in a while. However, on Monday night, I was at the 70th birthday of my lovely cousin, one of the kindest, most gentle people in the world. Lovely 70th birthday party. And half of us there were originally from Zimbabwe, one or two from Cape Town or Joburg. And it's just unfortunately, she died a while ago, but a wonderful Zimbabwe singer called Chiwaniso. And I just want us to get up and dance and going to play some of her music. And I just want you to move. It really doesn't matter. You do whatever you want to do. Nobody's watching you. Kundalini Yoga, there's no judgment taking place. So let's get up and just move, dance around. I just have to, so I need to just get this linked to, just bear with me. However you want to do it. Let's stand. Let's have your feet around, hip width apart, soles of the feet on the floor, making contact with your mat, eyes closed, drawing up the energy through the soles of the feet, that energy working its way up your chakras, those energy centers in the body. Your heart will be beating faster than normal. Let's slow that heartbeat down. And one of the ways we can do it is with a longer exhalation. So slightly longer exhalation that works on the parasympathetic side of our nervous system. That's rest and digest. Breathing. Filling the lungs. On your inhale, exhale, softening. Take a deep breath in through the nose and hold. And exhale. Come down onto your mat. So we won't be able to do the whole of the kriya, but you'll get a taste as to what things are all about. Synchronization, the body and the mind with the breath. To start with, just take your arms out to the side. The fingers are wide. That's our inhale. And as we exhale, we begin to move the palms down. We want the palms to end up facing behind us. So it's inhaling, exhaling, inhale, exhale. And we keep going, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhale. It seems like quite a simple movement perhaps, but as we go on, there may be some discomfort. And we try in Kundalini Yoga, just push ourselves through any discomfort, not through pain. So inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. And keep it going. So don't stop. If you're watching me, which hopefully you are, if I stop, don't stop with me. I'll demonstrate. I may just be watching some of you, making sure the music's working. I want you just to keep going. Keep going. You know what to do. And this is really good for the balance of the two hemispheres of the brain. It's also really good for our lymphatic system. You may know we don't have a pump in our lymphatic system like at the heart. So that lymph, that liquid, needs to flow through the vessels, the nodes. And it's much easier to go through with movements. So just keep going. Eyes closed. Kundalini Yoga. Eyes closed all the time. And that's because we're much better aware of what's going on in the body and the mind. The eyes closed. Keep going. And now inhale, stretch those arms out to the side and hold it there. Exhale, bring the arms up above the head, palms together. Keep the palms together as you inhale. And as we exhale, slowly down until we reach the heart center, at the sternum. Keep your eyes closed. That's the seat of our love and our compassion. And that helps us also to understand ourselves and others if we try to look at things with compassion, maybe even with empathy. Breathing, just being aware of whatever's going on in the body and the mind now, without engagement. If you have any discomfort in the body or the mind, maybe racing thoughts, that's natural. Just let it go on the exhalation. And at any time during our class, if you become distracted, yes, come back to the breath. Inhale and exhale. Arms out to the side. Try to move with the rhythm of the music. So this is different music now. So sometimes the music will be slow, sometimes it will be fast, sometimes in between. That's really good for the balance of the brain if we can just alter our state. So arms out to the side, palms facing down. That's our inhale. As we exhale, we bring the palms touching above the head. And then we just move in rhythm to the music when it starts up. Close your eyes and enjoy it. Bring your palms together above the head. Inhale. And as we exhale, once again, bring them down until they get to the heart center. And let's stay at the heart center with our eyes closed. Love and compassion. And it's always an opportunity during this integration period between each posture, asana, to go inside. Just be aware of what's going on, both in the body, any discomfort, in the mind, any discomfort, only to recognize it and be aware, not to linger and analyze. And if you get distracted, come back to your breath. Inhale and exhale. Come on to all fours. With your knees about hip width apart, initially bring the palms of your hands underneath the shoulders, and then take them about sort of one length of your wrist to fingers away from you. As we inhale, I'd like you to kick the left leg out to just to about parallel to the floor and bring the head, the chin up. Some work here on your thyroid and your pituitary, important glands. Exhale as though the knee and the forehead want to come and meet one another. So inhaling, kick out, head up, exhale, knee to forehead. We just keep going. So in our Kundalini Yoga practice, we try to develop a real rhythm, a real flow, because we feel that if it flows in your yoga practice, then if that flow can continue outside, then when challenges come along, hopefully you're better equipped to deal with them. So inhale, kick out, head up, exhale, forehead and knee as though they want to come and meet one another. Make sure that you're breathing with your movement, always breathing with the movement. And no need to kick up higher than parallel. Parallel's good. Keep it going. And then kick your left leg out, head up, hold. Exhale, left knee to the floor. And now we swap. Right leg, inhale, kick the right leg out, head up, exhale, as though the knee and the forehead want to meet one another. Inhaling out, exhale, knee to forehead. The breath and the movement in harmony together. And that little lift of the chin, the throat up at the end, working on your thyroid, your parathyroid, your pituitary gland, the master gland. If those hormonal secretions in your glandular system are really functioning well, then that brings harmony, balance, good health, happiness. Nice, yeah. So those I can see, it's really good. Nice rhythm, nice flow. Inhale, the right leg out, head up. Exhale, right knee to the floor. breathe and move with me. Inhale your buttocks back onto your heels. Exhale, slide your fingers out in front of you. Inhale your third eye between the eyebrows to the floor, baby pose, child pose. And in this restorative position, can you just breathe really normally in and out through the nose? And can you find that awareness of whatever may be going on for you at this stage in our class, both in the body, physically, in the mind, emotionally or mentally. Try not to engage, try not to analyze. Stay there with your breath. So that relationship between the breath, the mind, movement, that's what yoga is. The Sanskrit translation of yoga is all about that relationship. Yoke, juga. Inhale, exhale, slowly come back up, and then come to standing. So we can get a lot of stagnant energy in the area around the hips, the pelvis, the groin. We sit a lot. That brings inactivity, but also just stress can cause stuff going on around that whole area. So what we're going to do here, once again, we're going to play some music. I want you to bring one hand, the fingers, let's do the fingers of the left hand, just to around the shoulder, the right shoulder, and the fingers on the right hand, just about the left shoulder. We're going to start out with the music by moving the hips side to side. And then after a while, I'll give you the signal. Do anything you want. If you want to make circles, whatever just feels good for you. Don't even think about it. Just do it. So start out by moving those hips side to side. Waheguru, the ecstasy I feel when I overcome my challenge, when darkness turns to light, unsung from every fiber in my being. I feel so much better when that darkness starts turning to light. So sing along with you, unsung Waheguru.
Ecstasy of the universe. dances within every cell of my body. Song, why? Bring it to the light.
Release the hands, feet, hip width apart, soles of the feet connecting with the earth. Through the roots, we draw up that energy. Through the soles, feet, the knees, the hips, that energy just travels up. Kundalini energy through the chakras. Maybe there's a blockage somewhere, and hopefully that energy can find the block. Just release it. Breathing in and out through the nose. Make some space under your armpits and bring your palms facing forwards. Keep that breath going in and out, that awareness of what's going on. Inhale and exhale. We're coming down into a squat just for 1 minute, but it's hard, it's challenging even for a minute to stay down in a squat because we don't do it very often. We sit on our sofas or our chairs at the desk or whatever doing our work. So probably you should have your feet wider than hip width apart just to give you that stability, the balance. Probably the toes are going to be pointing out a little bit. Interlace, we call this Venus lock, interlace the fingers. And then just imagine you've got a low stool on the floor behind you. And I want you to sit down onto that stool just for a minute. You can either keep your arms out in front of you, or they can be down towards the floor, doesn't matter. The soles of the feet on the floor, so inevitably your back's probably going to bend over, and that's fine in Kundalini Yoga. Close your eyes. Just 1 minute silence, just you and your breath and your patience and endurance, staying there in an unusual posture that we don't do very often. But it's so good for us. Breathing. Nearly there. Inhale. Exhale, stay in your squat. Inhale, reach behind you with your fingers and lower yourselves onto your back. So we're now going to have a few minutes of deep relaxation in Shavasana. I always recommend to people that you cover yourselves. It may be really warm in your room, but you wouldn't believe how quickly the body temperature cools down, especially after exercise. So sweater, shawl, blanket. whatever's going to keep you warm. And then when you're ready, I want you, please, to feel the weight of your body on the floor. I'd like you to do a mental scan starting down at the toes, the feet. And as you continue to inhale and exhale as naturally as you can, feeling the expansion into the diaphragm, the lungs on your inhale, the softening as you exhale, the rise and fall of the belly. As you work your way up the body, just observing anything going on. It may be real comfort that brings a smile to your face. It may be some discomfort that's just giving you a little bit of difficulty. Don't linger at all. Just inhale, exhale, and you can always use your out breath to just let go. Whatever's troubling you, maybe some discomfort in the stomach, maybe something went on today that just made you a little bit disgruntled. We all have that. It's how we cope and deal with that. And I honestly believe our Kundalini Yoga practice is just so brilliant for facilitating that. And when you finish your scan, just spend another 2 or 3 minutes being there with your breath. I know it sounds cliched, however, if we can just be in the present moment rather than agonizing about what went on during today or what might be coming up for you tomorrow on Monday. There's no question about the benefit of that. Just breathe. When you take your next in-breath, come back to an awareness of the whole of your physical body lying on the floor. Begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Move your ankles and your wrists around in little circles. Take a deep breath in and stretch your arms behind you. Point your toes away. Hold the breath in. Hold that stretch. Lovely elongation of the spine. Hold. Exhale. Inhale. Bring your feet and your hands up and rub the palms and rub the soles as vigorously as you can. We want to really try to stimulate thousands of nerve endings, and especially in the palms, we want to build up the heat in the palms, and you'll see why in a few moments. So really vigorous as you can. So hopefully some heat in those palms now. Bring them onto your eyes, the palms. Maybe a balm for tired eyes, some comfort to tired eyes. Keep the palms there and open your eyes into the darkness of the palms. Remove the hands, arms to the side. We now do a cat stretch. So with the left leg extended, bring your right knee over the left leg, fingers out to the right, head to the right, breathing whilst you hold that stretch. And then swap over, extend the right leg, bring the left knee over the right leg, turn your head to the left, fingers to the left. And then come back to neutral, hug the knees into the chest. Make a few circles with your knees hugged in, lower back, buttocks, one way and then the other. Rock left and right, right and left. Rock a few times up and down on the spine. Come to sitting. So sitting comfortably now for our meditation. We have so many different meditations we can use in Kundalini Yoga for any number of reasons. So for example, if there's something troubling you or you want to break a habit that's getting in the way, you can do a 40-day meditation, maybe 7 minutes a day, 11 minutes a day. Now this particular one is, I mentioned earlier, based on that first sutra in Kundalini Yoga, which is recognize that the other person is you. And to me, it almost has kind of Buddhist, if any of you study or practice Buddhism, it almost has some sort of elements of the, Buddhist meditation, where you really try to put yourself in the shoes of somebody else. And what we're going to do, we're going to be singing along, chanting, Hummy hum, Tumi tum, Wahe Guru, I'm thine, in mine, myself, Wahe Guru. Unfortunately, we only have about 5 minutes, so no time to really spend a lot of time explaining. But the fundamentals of it is that Wahe Guru, again, it's all about feeling great when maybe you have been able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. And this David Hamilton talks a lot, writes a lot about empathy and understanding and that sort of thing. So we're going to try in a short space of time to, sometimes when we do this in a club together physically, we sit back to back with somebody. And I want you to imagine that you're sitting back to back with somebody. So you can feel your spine, your back together. And firstly, we're going to chant along, visualizing that sitting on our back is somebody we really love, whoever that may be. Then secondly, we're going to imagine that we're sitting back to back with somebody, maybe just a casual acquaintance. And when I was teaching this a couple of weeks ago, I just come back from Devon, and I mentioned that I went into this co-op supermarket, and this wonderful woman there serving in the supermarket, you could tell she was just such a lovely soul. Didn't know her from a bar of soap, but you could just tell there was something just so spiritual and lovely about her. And then thirdly, which is difficult, I know, but I want you to visualize you're sitting back to back with somebody maybe you've got real issues with, maybe you've even fallen out with them, maybe you don't speak to them anymore. Are we able somehow to recognize the other person in us, as hard as that may be? So just about 5 minutes. Your mudra, left hand to the heart center, that fourth chakra, seat of our love and compassion. Make a fist with the right hand and the index finger goes up, and we just bring the elbow to the side. So just to the side, index finger facing up towards the heavens. Nice and comfortable, sitting on your sit bones, be relaxed. Hami hum, tumi tum, Waheguru, I am thine and mine, myself. Waheguru. I think you'll pick it up quite easily. And then do chant, sing along. Obviously, I can't hear you, so I can only rely on you doing it yourselves. Back with somebody you really love. Coasting along, chanting along internally. Now that person you've been sitting back to back with gets up and goes, and now sitting back to back with you is a very casual acquaintance, the person in the supermarket, the person who delivers you your post, somebody you met walking your dog, whatever, just a very casual acquaintance. You really don't know them. Can we recognize the other person is us? Singing, chanting that to yourself internally. And now that casual acquaintance gets up and is replaced by a person now sitting at your back you have a real issue with for whatever reason. You just find that person difficult, maybe even you've fallen out with that person. Something going on. Can we sit back to back, feel that person and recognize the other person themselves? And that person also gets up, just leaves you there, sitting by yourselves, listening to, singing, chanting along. As we come to the end of our kriya today, for that first sutra, recognize the other person is you. Just bring both hands to the heart center, fourth chakra, love, compassion, selfless service, empathy. And just to remind you, based upon David Hamilton's Why Woo Woo Works, we know it really does. And there is quite a big move in the UK for yoga, meditation, mindfulness, etc., to be introduced by GPs and into the NHS. And let's really hope. And that relationship between the body and the mind, so vital for our good health, our harmony, and very much related to our breath. Take a deep breath in as you just push down a little bit firmer at the heart center and hold your breath in. And exhale. Rubbing the palms together again, we're now going to tune out one long Sat Nam. Sat Nam literally means truth is my name. Truth is my essence. Palms in prayer mudra to the heart center, thumbs at the sternum, eyes closed. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale to begin. Sat Nam. And just keeping your hands in prayer mudra at the heart center, let's say our own internal prayer, blessing, first and foremost for ourselves, and then for our family, friends, the universe. Maybe you know somebody really needs love and compassion, maybe some healing energy at the moment. Send that out to them. And thank you everybody for being on the mat with us today. Sat Nam.
Colin, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. It was wonderful.
Thank you, Stella, for the opportunity to be here with you.
Oh, it's wonderful. And there's a comment there from Pamela. She didn't quite grasp the chant, but I think that's okay, right? Because it's just the essence of what the music was about and the intention of the chant.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. So Pamela, in this short time we had today, it's just not possible to go into a lot of information and detail, but there's quite a lot of research being done to show, even if you don't know the interpretation of the words, the fact that you are chanting and singing along, when your tongue, for example, hits the upper palate, there are meridian points there, and those feel-good chemicals in the brain. But there's so much stuff available to be studied and learned if you wish.
Yeah, I mean, I think just one thing we didn't touch on before, that Kundalini is actually a bit of a science as well, because every movement, every chant, everything is thought through with regards to the effect it has on our body. Everybody wants the music. This is the thing about Kundalini, the music. Yeah. The music is just so, I find Kundalini like this overall experience. It's not just movement and breath, it's everything together. And I don't know if everyone that shared that experience felt the same way. Colin, if you would be kind enough to come back for us, I would really love to invite you to come back, because I think that I don't know if anyone here would like to delve deeper. Feel free to switch off your microphones and talk now that we've finished the session. Lorraine wants more, right, Lorraine?
Definitely. I absolutely loved it. It was so moving, Colin. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. That's great.
Fantastic experience. I'd love to do it again. I'd love to do more of this type of yoga.
Yeah, Stella, I'm happy to come back and do another session. There's so many different things we can do. So yeah, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Well, thank you, everybody. We've really run over today, but I think it was worth it. Oh yes, one thing. Who was a Zimbabwean singer at the beginning?
Her name is Chenowiso. I can send you the yeah, and she died very young, quite a few years ago. But she was just such a wonderful, wonderful woman. Just her whole kind of philosophy and what she sang about. Okay. She'd sing about the missing children in South America and so on, and do good work in lots of different areas. Yeah, and she came from my neck of the woods.
Okay, well, you share that with me, and then I'll share it with everyone on the follow-up with the recording. So lovely community, thank you so much for being here today. Nice to see everyone. Wishing you a wonderful week ahead. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Next Saturday, we're going to be at 10 a.m. because we're streaming live from Thailand with the wonderful Karina Stewart from Kamalaya, and she's going to be talking to us about rebuilding our vitality post-pandemic, what we can do at home as well around that, for physically, emotionally and psychologically. So it's going to be, I know those of you who have heard her before loved her, so she'll be back to join us, and I'll send something out on that midweek. In the meantime, have a lovely week. So I'm so uplifted after that class, as you can tell. And Waheguru. Waheguru.
Thank you, Stella. Thank you, Colin.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thank you.